Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of To the Men After Me podcast. I'm your host, Neeko Williams. This is the letter to the boys that will become men in the generations that follow. Today on the podcast, I got a guest host that I'm excited about having. He's a good friend of mine. He also attends the church that I attend. His name is Daniel Benotti. Daniel, say hello. Daniel Benotti is, like I said, he's been a very close friend. After, we've attended the same church. Do you remember how we met?
So it's actually I needed to meet you because you did a spoken word at one of it was either Palm Sunday or Easter Sunday. Is it 2017?
The first poem I ever did in 2017 for our church was for Christmas.
Okay.
And that was when we were we were in the Carolina Theater. We
were in Clifton. We were actually in the Clifton campus.
Oh, okay. That was for Easter. Yep, that was for Easter. I want to say that might have been 2021.
Was it that? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my wife saw it and was just like, I'm secure. We've got a great relationship, but she's like, "Who is that?"
Wow.
And no, I was blown away too.
Wow.
Just needed to get to know someone that was obviously in love with the Lord.
Man, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But that may have been where you were exposed to me. Mm-hmm. But the first time we met was at a worship event, a worship hangout, because your wife is on the worship team in our church. And my wife at the time was on the worship team, and they were having some kind of worship volunteer hangout event, and that is where we first met. We were sitting in chairs together, and I got a chance to meet your children. Mm-hmm. Got a chance to hear a little bit of your story, and I think that was the first time we had an actual conversation.
Okay, so I'd been stalking you from afar, and, so that is the first. I remember that.
Yeah. So, but the reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast is because of what you do for a living. Mm-hmm. Would you talk about what you do for a living for a little bit?
So I'm a police officer for a local agency, and currently I am the supervisor of. I'm biased, so I think it's one of the best investigative units that we have around. It's the Family Victims Unit. So anything that is related to child abuse, child sexual abuse, any domestic violence, any type of domestic related stalking or aggravated assault, rape, that kind of thing. And before that, I was doing other violent crime investigations.
So it sounds like you've even transitioned your job since the last time we had a significant conversation.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So I'm back in a unit that I served in as a detective many years ago.
But you're not a detective anymore.
So I have the privilege of supervising the men and women that are doing the bulk of the work.
Wow. Okay, I'd love to just let a little bit of the cat out of the bag here. Is being a detective like what you see on TV? How does it compare?
So it gets about as serious as other cops. We really like Southland.
Okay.
I don't do The Wire.
Okay.
And we're somewhere between Law and Order Special Victims Unit and Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh.
It's a kind of fine
I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's one of my favorite shows.
Oh, it's a great show.
Man,
it's a great show.
So, can you just talk to us a little bit about how you got into the profession of law enforcement?
I started out my career in ministry. So I was a youth pastor and loved it, but just dealing with teens and their families and seeing that there's lots of stuff going on, and that got me into a social work type of job. Worked with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Orange County, New York.
So you went from being youth pastor to working in social work.
It's a social work field. I don't have my degrees or anything like that. But just not everybody is born knowing exactly how to live their life.
Right. None of us are.
Right. People have kids, and none of them come with a manual that are specific to them.
Yeah.
And
if you figure out one of the kids, that manual doesn't work on the second
that's
kid.
right. That is true.
Oh man.
I loved what I did. I loved the people, which led to me putting in for police work. A lot of folks are just angry, don't know what to do with their passion. People, they just do things without thinking. So hopefully give them a set of skills, build resilience in people to stop hurting their family and their neighbors.
So it sounds like there was a compassion beneath your motivation. Like, you wanted to really help people and like change the situation that they were in, and you felt like, it seems like you felt
100%.
like the route of law enforcement was one way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, there are certainly many.
Yeah.
Many different ways. But on a whim, coming down, I was putting in for a different department, and really enjoyed the area that we find ourselves in today, and put in like on a whim, and I mean I was hired in a couple of months.
Okay, which is
pretty much unheard of from where we were from.
Okay,
I was from the other place I had put in. It was like a official 4-year waiting list.
Whoa.
Unofficially, it was like 6.
Okay. Okay.
And it came out with like a couple of months, and here you go. You're in the academy, and it's a whole new world.
I don't know if a lot of people actually like look at law enforcement from this perspective. There is a certain grace that we have because we have police officers. We have the law. Like, I believe it's somewhere in Romans. Don't quote me. But Paul talks about that there are governmental authorities that God has established for the grace of God. That justice would be enacted. That people will be kept safe. And so, like, I think that I don't know if everybody wakes up thinking, okay, a police officer is the grace of God. Sometimes, especially as a result of our nation's history, sometimes it doesn't feel like grace. Sometimes it feels like injustice. I don't know. How does your walk with Jesus inform kind of where we are, I guess, in this cultural moment?
Everybody that I work with does want to be a police officer for some honorable reason. Like at the absolute root of it, every single man and woman that I have worked with, that I currently work with, there is something about helping people. Like that's what almost every single officer says first.
Okay.
Like why?
Yeah.
Well, to help people.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of history, a lot of negative history. A lot of the times, if you're a patrol officer, you show up on a scene and it's in a neighborhood that historically has not had a good relationship with law enforcement, or people who dress like me were enforcing bad laws. Like we get to look back with 20/20 hindsight and know, okay, yeah, everybody knows slavery's wrong. Everybody knows Jim Crow's wrong. Like everybody knows. And nobody that works in the department today ever enforced any of those laws either.
Right.
Yet we're still getting a lot of friction if you show up on scene. And there's people who lived through the civil rights era. There's people who are still alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I actually worked with folks before they retired who worked in those times too.
Wow.
Who definitely tried to get the KKK in order, even though they were right here. So I feel a privilege.
Yeah.
to put on the same uniform as those officers who were fighting for good laws.
Yes.
For the free expression.
Yeah.
To speak out against that evil.
Yeah. And I think it's really important that you are in your role, because as a follower of Jesus Christ, who loves God, as a result, we ought to love order and justice. I think this is how some of those issues get done away with. If you lead from a place of love, if you lead from the kingdom principles of loving your neighbor as you love yourself, putting others before you. I think about Philippians chapter 2, just talks about living through humility, living in a way that considers others more important than yourself. I think that's how we actually engage this problem. If we have police officers who love Jesus, who are making a difference in Jesus' name. Speaking of making a difference, we're talking about being a police officer, but this whole podcast is aimed at the generations that follow. And I just love to maybe talk about how you as a police officer attempt, or have in the past attempted to see somebody go from where they are to where they could be. I know in the past you've talked about I'm gonna try and steal from you, but steal from your story.
Please.
You talked about a mentorship program that you were part of. Talk to us a little bit about that. Where'd that come from? Why'd you start participating in it? What were some of the things that you do, and do you still do it? I know that's a mouthful.
Yeah. So it's an organization called Run Well.
Okay.
And so talking about fellow believers and also law enforcement officers, one of the people who I work with left law enforcement went into ministry. And then he saw what was going on during the 2020 times, how things were getting, very violent. There was a ton of civil unrest, and all he could think of was how he wants to serve, was serving alongside of all of us, and trying to build a community. And he just felt like, you know what? I have skills that nobody else has.
Whoa!
Been able to see the world from a point of view that not a lot of folks get to. I mean, it is a privilege to be in law enforcement. And so he came back.
He was in
law enforcement.
Went to ministry,
full-time ministry with a local church, and then is now back in law enforcement.
Wow! Because he saw the need.
Yes. Because he felt like, and not every police officer is a Christian, if you can believe that. And he was just feeling like, man, I was having more conversations about the love of the Lord and the meaning of life as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus. He was having more conversations with non-believers when he was a police officer than when you're in a church.
Yep.
And I mean that started, and he talked to me about this idea because he knew that I came from a background in running mentoring programs.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he asked for my assistance and a couple other police officers, and we formed a board.
Wow.
For a 503B.
Started a whole organization.
Full on nonprofit.
Wow.
And currently we're in Page High School. We have approximately, these are rough numbers, 15 mentors and about 40 young men.
Good.
9th through 12th grade.
And they all know you're police officers.
Yes, we have one firefighter.
Wow.
One retired EMS worker. He was one of the TAC medics that does the special response teams and things like that. And we have one Army veteran who just he knows several of us, and he's like, man, this is, I served overseas, but I want to serve my community.
Wow.
Back home too. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, every week we get together. We work out. So we have a big goal in mind.
Okay.
Some kids start, they've never been a part of any team, never done any sports, Got people from all walks of life, and then we have also the people that we're great at sports. So we have like from video gamers to guys that are like football players.
Yeah.
We all work together. This coming May, we're going to run in a Spartan race.
What?
Yeah.
With the guys?
Yeah.
What?
The young men. There's 50 of us that are going to get on a bus.
What?
We're going to go to Fayetteville.
What?
10K, 6.2 miles, 25 obstacles, and we're going to do it. We're going to help each other through it. And then
I'm getting chills. Just
it's great.
I got a friend who just did a Spartan race, and he posted on his Instagram, you get this card when you do a Spartan race that says, you could die, and we're not responsible.
That's right.
Just know you could die, and we're not responsible. But I just think that is the most amazing thing. You guys have said, hey, we want to make a difference. Mm-hmm. More than just putting on a badge, more than just doing our job. So you decided to start an organization, and you're in a school. You meet once a week to work out. Sounds like.
Yeah, we do a pretty hard workout. Like I get injured. I'm not. I mean, we're sweating, and it's hard. And there's times, like I don't want to do this. I want to stop doing this. Come home and it's like stiff and sore. 2-3 days later, I'm still like, limping around the office.
What in the world?
Yeah.
So how's it going?
That's fantastic.
How long have you been doing this?
So this is our 3rd year.
Wow.
And we've grown each year.
Okay.
And we have amazing backers. There's several people who are in the running community that I had never been a part of. I'm not a runner. No one's chasing me. I'm not chasing anybody. It's like, why are we running?
Okay. Yeah.
But there's a running community in this area that is just phenomenal. We do a 5K. That's a 3-miler around Christmas time.
Wow.
Fleet Feet is one of the local running stores that we just show up and he like gives us the blow up stuff. It's like, bring it back whenever. John from Fleet Feet is an amazing man. He lets us, in October, we bring every young man to the store. He overstaffs for us. The kids get measured for real running shoes that are directed to the style of
their foot
that they have.
Yeah.
They do the machines, they do all that fancy stuff, and then we buy them actual running shoes, the whole crew.
Wow.
And then we take the receipt and we give it to one of our regular donors, and he just writes a check and covers it.
What kind of difference that is making?
Yeah.
That's got to be making a huge impact.
One of the best days.
Good night.
Because, and again, we serve everybody. The coolest thing is to watch. There's some chafing at first, there was some grind some gears to fit in and do our thing, but we got freshmen to seniors. Like I said, we have varsity athletes, guys that have never really worked hard in their lives, and they start to look after each other, and we come together and we have a team, and it's a team atmosphere, and like I said, every zip code in the city's represented.
Yeah.
Heck, we even have exchange students. We have a couple of exchange students that they're just in the States for a year.
Wow.
And they show up every Tuesday, most Tuesdays.
That's cool. So it's like, it sounds like you meet them in this capacity, so you don't have to meet them in your other capacity as a police officer. It sounds like that is one way to help push back darkness in the city.
This is true, and we are, again, this is we started by saying I started in ministry. I've seen a lot of ministries start and take a long time, and some people are on like the 10-year plan before they can really solidify and do so. That's another thing where the idea was given. We got together in say June.
Okay.
And starting in September of that year, we had the start.
Okay.
And it has just grown every year since then.
Yeah.
So the school resource officer is on board.
Wow.
He's actually one of our board members this year.
Wow.
So when he sees young men getting into fights, acting up, doing stuff in school, it's like, we have a place for you on Tuesday night. Come work out with us.
So let me ask you this: the main thing that you're doing is just working out. There's not like any kind of like curriculum or anything. You're just working out.
So we do have a curriculum.
Okay.
Yes. And so about 98, 99% of us are Christians.
Okay.
But we're doing basically lessons on manhood.
It's a perfect.
Yes.
Perfect for the podcast.
So it's what does a man do versus what does a boy do? What does a child do? And so a lot of times we are reflecting with the lessons on, men take responsibility when, boys or children, they try to blame other people.
Yeah, that's good.
And we start out with vision. We want a vision for your life. And we teach the kids, how to create a vision. And we do talk about development, and it's like, here's where you're at this year, and what do you want to see for the next year?
Yeah.
Vision, integrity, family. If you don't get a wife like you have, if you are just playing the field for any old person.
That's good.
If you want a wife that is worth staying with, that is, a woman who is worth being with, then you need to be a man that she thinks is worth being with.
Yes, that's good.
That's
good. So y'all do this through the context of working out, or is it like?
So we do the workout.
Okay.
Because the goal is we're going to do this. So this year it's the literal Spartan race.
Yes.
And so how do we get from where we are in September
vision
to where we need to be at the end of the year?
That's good.
We have milestones like the 3-miler in December.
Wow.
Right before Christmas break.
This is incredible.
So every Tuesday we do the workout, we do the lesson, and local Chick-fil-A is our sponsor too.
What?
So we have a chicken sandwich. We while they're eating Chick-fil-A, they're getting the word.
This is incredible.
Every single lesson is based on Scripture.
This is incredible. That's awesome.
Like I said, man, I feel so privileged. Like this is it's a dream.
For me, I'm big on relationships. Like I'm imagining being a high schooler and being in that kind of environment where there's a group of men who A, care about me. It's very clear they care about me. Then B, I'm also building relationships with peers my age. And then C, I actually am doing something that I'll get to look back on and say, this shaped me. This was one of those moments in my life that shaped who I am today. When those guys finish the Spartan race, it's going to be one of those moments.
For sure.
Oh, my gosh.
And we keep contact during the week through we're on a group chat, like a WhatsApp group chat.
Yeah.
We're always calling out guys by name, like, hey, 73 degrees, who's running today?
Wow.
Like we got 1 week to go. What kind of work are you putting in? And we call people out by name, and they have to tell us what they're doing to exercise.
That's cool. That's cool.
And this year, another wonderful thing is we started taking the seniors, the high school seniors, and almost all of them participated with us last year.
Yeah.
And once every 4 to 6 weeks, we take them out for breakfast. There's a couple of the mentors that take them out for breakfast, give extra leadership training.
Wow.
And then that Tuesday, they do the announcements.
They're
doing whatever. So we're
that's incredible.
We're bringing them up, and we've taught them by example what we mean by what we say.
Wow.
And then we give them the opportunity to lead.
So you guys been doing this for 3 years. So next year, potentially, you might have a senior who maybe started with you as a freshman. Is that?
So we were at a different place our first year.
Okay.
And we've been at Page for the last couple of years.
Okay.
And we have a lot of folks asking for us to expand.
Man, well, maybe we need to have a conversation. I might want to try to get involved in something like that.
Yeah. What we want to do is, so we're not charging anything. We want anybody who wants this for their church, for their high schooler, for their whatever. Like, it's not about us. It is about strengthening young men to lead.
Good night. That is incredible.
So we want to do like a step-by-step. This is what we did. It worked for us.
Yeah.
If you think it can work for you, here's everything we have.
That's good.
Because
that's good.
It's very obvious to us. The Lord put it on, one man's heart to get his group of, his tribe, his brotherhood. And we know that all we have has been given to us. So the only thing that we can logically do is pass that on.
I love that. Yeah, I want to transition the conversation. I imagine maybe there's some young man who's listening to this who never occurred to them that they might ever become a police officer. But now listening to this conversation, maybe they're interested. How might you encourage them right now? Let's say we're talking to a 10th grade young man, or maybe a young lady is listening. What kinds of things do they need to have in order to make steps towards becoming a police officer?
Yeah. So now I'm no engineer. But I would say is reverse engineer.
Okay.
So figure out what it is, a baseline. You're gonna do entry into patrol. Okay, there's things that everybody has to do. We got to do a base level of education, which in North Carolina, I think everywhere is going to be a high school graduation. Either diploma or GED, some type of equivalent.
Okay.
And you're going to do a background check. And so any place that you've ever lived, you're going to get your police reports and all that kind of stuff are going to be looked at. And just because there's something on your record doesn't automatically disclude make you not able to do it. Obviously it's going to matter what it was.
Yes.
But as a Christian, as someone who believes in science and medicine as a real actual thing that matters, clean living is the way to go.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not saying I've never been a drinker.
Okay.
I've never been a smoker.
Yeah.
If you're going to be doing some running, you're going to probably want to be in the best shape.
Be in good shape. Yeah.
Everyone can look at me and see like, hey, I might be able to be a cop because that guy don't look strong.
No, you got a little.
But there, baseline stuff.
Yes.
And a lot of people think I need to go to the gym. I need to do this. You don't need equipment to be a cop. You're going to do sit-ups. You're going to do push-ups. You're going to do air squats. Like squat down, stand up. Squat down, stand up. Like do a burpee.
Yeah.
And we're going to run you.
Okay.
Okay. I have not listed anything that requires any equipment other than decently working body. And so if you can show your high school diploma, you can move your body. And what's the other thing? Yeah, background checks.
Okay.
So, boom. That's like baseline, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I want to tell people about law enforcement, okay, and this is for the whole community.
Okay.
But specifically, you're asking about people who want to be law enforcement officers. Yeah. We don't want anyone to fail. Like, it's called the brotherhood, the thin blue line, like all that kind of stuff. And some people take a lot of things to extreme. Okay, which anything in extremes is probably not good.
Right.
But what is real is that family aspect. Okay, So we have, in our local academy, I think we started like 35 people.
Okay.
There is not a single instructor that wants any one of them to fail.
Okay.
So it's almost like the minute you join,
they're for you.
They're for you. And, people make mistakes. You want to keep your reputation as good as it can be because it opens more opportunities for you.
Yes.
And so I would say right now, start doing the right things. Or whatever you're doing, do the next thing right.
Yeah.
If folks are on a path that is not going to take them to the future that they want to see themselves in, stop what you're doing. And think about the next thing you're about to do and just move in the better direction.
That's good advice.
So, but yeah, it is a wonderful field to work in.
Yeah.
I have met people who treat it like a job because it's a nice job. There's set pay, there's good benefits. You're never going to hear me complain about that. But I would actually say that it's the worst possible job, but it is the best possible career.
Okay. Worst possible job, best possible career. Break that down a little bit because I need some help.
Yeah. So, you're going to see things that are terrible. That ain't something you want to do because you need a paycheck. Okay.
That's good.
The things that I have done, I didn't have a grid for. In my wildest dreams, I never actually thought like, oh, this is real life and this is what I'm doing and this is part of what I'm actually doing. Like, you go on car wrecks and you see people completely and utterly mangled up. Like my job was to pick up body parts to try to save them, get them in the ambulance with people. That's not something you do because you need a paycheck.
Right.
There is a grace for people in this job. And like, it's strange. Like, you go picking up people's body parts and stuff, but like, then you think, wow, what a miracle that we're able to serve the community like this. In law enforcement, you have the opportunities to change people's absolute worst day. The worst time, their worst day. Nobody calls 911 to invite you to a party.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't.
Yeah, that's misuse.
But you make me want to, but you shouldn't.
Yeah. But, generally speaking, like, someone is hurting somebody. There's, someone is close to the end of their life. Like, you're driving breakneck speeds and you're doing other stuff to try to stop something terrible from happening, or something terrible just happened. Go do something to help.
Wow.
So it's I looked up to first responders. My grandfather was a firefighter. One of my coaches in high school was a police officer where I grew up, and again, like, I started in ministry because I like people, and I love the Lord. Think, how do you serve? The first thing you think of is the church. But then you spend time in the church and you realize, well, this is the place to worship, but then the people, you got to go outside the building to go and tell the good news. And go and love on others.
That's right.
And there is no more need for the love of Jesus than
in those moments
in
of
those
crisis.
moments.
Yeah. Man, I've really enjoyed this conversation. This has just been one of the highlights of my day, and I'm super grateful that you gave me a few minutes of your time to share with the boys that will become men. Man, do you have any other parting words as we're wrapping up the episode?
What I would say is this: if you think that there's something that you should be doing, you feel the Lord putting something, we say the Lord's putting something on my heart. Like, if you're curious, if you think there's something you should be doing, if you're thinking you should look into something, do it. Like, I don't know, just work really hard at, just seeking the Lord. It's not going to come back as a bad investment.
That's good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another wonderful episode of what is the name of my podcast? To the Men After Me podcast. This is the letter to the boys that will become men in the generations that follow. We will see you on the next episode.